Let's just name it. Life is and will be stressful, and certainly is now. The world feels charged and uncertain, and most of us are carrying around way more than we realize with news, expectations, pressures, fears, stresses, and some invisible emotional load of the people around us. And yet here's the paradox. The one thing we need most when things feel this heavy is also the thing we avoid most. Owning our side of the fence, tending to your own garden, actually slowing down enough to process what's happening inside of us. Because when we don't, that unprocessed shit doesn't disappear. It gets recycled into more reactivity, more fatigue, more disconnection. And that's not sustainable, and nor is it helpful to anyone, especially you. So today we're going to be exploring why this happens, why we avoid it, what actually changes when we start taking responsibility for our emotions instead of reacting to them. By the way, I'm Daniel. I'm a health and life coach, and I absolutely love my work supporting people finding their healthiest and happiest selves through the healing of the body, but also through clearing what's underneath. And if that is something that interests you, please check out the description below to see how you might be able to work with me. So with that, let's dive in. Here's a truth that sounds simple, but changes everything. Stress and emotion don't disappear just because we ignore it. Now that might sound obvious, but I know for a fact that most of us are not doing anything about it. The body doesn't delete stress, it stores it. When we suppress and avoid our emotions, it doesn't get resolved, it just leaks out later. And that leak looks like snapping at someone you care about, feeling constantly irritable or defensive, withdrawing or checking out, or noticing that you get physically sick or burnt out after long stretches of pushing through. If we don't tend to our garden, the weeds grow. And those weeds don't stay contained, they get wild, and they'll find their way into other parts of our lives. Avoiding our feelings isn't a weakness, it's protection. There's a good reason we do it, because when we first touch an emotion like fear, grief, or anger, it feels worse before it feels better. So we'll naturally seek short-term safety. And feeling emotion makes our body spike, right? So faster heart rate, tight chest, tears beginning to rise, and the brain often will say, nope, that's too much. And we'll reach out for a distraction to turn the volume down. So scrolling, staying constantly busy, fixing other people, overworking, blaming our external circumstances. From the body's perspective, this makes sense. If it doesn't feel safe to feel, it will start to avoid. But here's the cost. Avoidance doesn't resolve the stress. And the more we do it, the more built up the stress gets and the more we carry. Avoidance isn't the problem, it's unprocessed emotions. See, every time we ignore what's happening internally, we add another layer. Stress on top of stress, fear on top of fear, resentment on top of exhaustion. And after a while, life feels like we're walking around with weights strapped to us, and any more might make us collapse. That's what chronic reactivity looks like. You're maxed out. We may start snapping at loved ones, overreacting to the smallest things, or feeling like we're always on edge. And that doesn't mean you're angry or impatient by nature. It just means your system is overloaded and there's not much margin left. So let me be clear, this isn't who you are. It's what happens when your nervous system gets buried under too much that is unprocessed. When we live in this reactive mode, you're constantly responding but rarely choosing. You react to the news, to deadlines, to other people's energy. You're trying to manage everything around you because everything inside feels unmanageable. So what does that cost us? Clear decision making, calm communication, your capacity for creativity and rest, effectiveness at work, and in time, your health. And that's one of the biggest themes I see in my practice is how all of this piles up to start affecting our health. A dysregulated system is not an effective one. So consider this. Regulation isn't a luxury. It's the foundation for clarity, composure, vitality, and I would say for real leadership in a chaotic world. Now let's clear something up. Taking responsibility is not the same as blame. Blame collapses the system. It breeds shame, it makes you small, and becomes another way of punishing yourself. And we all do plenty of this already. Responsibility now is different. It expands your capacity. It's empowering. It says, this is mine to work with. Because when something is yours to work with, it's also yours to change. So consider this an anchor. When I take responsibility for my inner state, I stop being controlled by it. All right, so what does it actually mean to tend our own garden? It's not hours of self-work or dramatic breakthroughs. I see it as maintenance, small, consistent acts of emotional hygiene. And we can break this down into 3 simple steps. It starts with awareness. Notice what you're carrying. Once or twice a day, pause and ask yourself, what's alive in me right now? It might be tension in your body or a swirl of emotion you can't quite name. Next is allowance and validate. So give yourself permission to exist without trying to fix it right away. Maybe it's a breath, a few tears, a few moments of stillness. Your nervous system will start to relax when it knows it doesn't have to fight itself. Our bodies will shift so much by having ourselves turn inwards and care for us rather than distracting and pulling away again. So the 3rd step is integration. Give it motion or expression. That could be a short walk, journaling, shaking your hands, humming, even a sigh. Those small acts discharge emotional energy, teach our body that it's safe to let things pass through. And again, this isn't dramatic, it's discipline, because small, honest moments of attention prevent bigger reactivity later. So here's an unpopular idea. Slowing down internally actually helps you move through life more effectively, and dare I say happily. When we tend to our inner world, your sleep will get better, your energy stabilizes, boundaries become natural instead of forced, conversations become cleaner because you're not projecting your unprocessed emotions onto others. And on a bigger level, regulated people stabilize chaotic environments. Your calm, your ownership becomes contagious because when one person in the group is centered, it has the power for everyone else's nervous system to recalibrate to. And that's co-regulation, and it's how collective healing begins, one person's steadiness at a time. We can't control the world. We can't control what's coming up next week, next month, or next year, but we can tend to our side of the fence. Owning our emotions, I see as our responsibility. It's leadership. Because we tend to our garden, you stop taking your pain out on the world, you move through it with more clarity, integrity, and heart. And that's what real strength looks like. Not perfection, not constant control, but grounded, conscious ownership. So if your world or the world feels intense right now, start here. Breathe. Notice what you're feeling. Name it. Tend to what's yours. For you, for your loved ones, and from my perspective, for a greater good. If this resonated with you, I would appreciate if you would do the whole like and subscribe thing. And again, check out the description below if you're ready to make greater changes in your life, taking care of your health and well-being on a new level. Till then, take care of your garden.